Okay, so thank you all for your attendance this evening. I will just start by acknowledging that we are on Gumbanya land and that the Gumbanya people are the traditional custodians of this land that we do meet on. So our council does pay its respects to those elders past, present and emerging, and extends that respect to all Torres Strait Islander and Aboriginal peoples, including those present here this evening. Councillors, tonight we do welcome representatives from the Urunga Aboriginal Corporation. We have Brenton Lugnan, the IPA project manager, and Matthew Flanders, the chief cultural practitioner, here to brief you on the Indigenous protected area proposal and the opportunities it presents for council around country, culture and community. I will just note for everyone here that this session is being recorded and will be made publicly available on council's website. So on that, both Brenton and Matthew, thank you for coming here this evening, and I would like to extend now the opportunity to yourself if you would like to expand further on acknowledgements, welcomes, and then proceed into the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting us together so we can have this meeting and talk about the IPA and how we can all benefit from this. And I myself would also just like to, Naranga, Nanyundi, Jalan Modigirwa, Gili Girwa, Balanjin Gundi Wajar, Bumbangara Wajar well. So acknowledging and respecting my own people from the past and that are here with us today in Balanjin in Bumbangara country. And yeah, like for those that I haven't met in the past, my name is Matthew Flanders. I'm a local Bumbangara man as well, with strong ties through Ballinger Valley, Barrowville, the Uwara Valley, Coffs Harbour, as well up towards Grafton and Ilgan Bay as well.
G'day everyone. If those who don't know me, I'm Brenton Lugnan. I'm the IPA operations manager at this point for Urunga Aboriginal Corporation. And I'd just like to echo everything that Matt said. It's wonderful that you could all be here today just to try and get some real clarity on the possibilities of what an IPA can be for not only the Indigenous community, but definitely the wider community and all of the Ballinger Valley. So thank you.
Right. Thank you both. So both Brenton and Matthew, just for your understanding, we have councillors in the session tonight and also a few of our staff from council here to sort of listen to the presentation. So yeah, look, when you're ready, I'm happy for you to share your screen and proceed. Would you like for questions to be asked throughout the session or wait till the end? How would you prefer that?
Well, this is actually a very short little presentation. So if anyone would like to ask questions, we're probably best off waiting to the end of it. Yeah, no, that'd be fine. Yeah, we'll go that way. Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Alrighty, well, okay, so let's do this. So I need to share screen. Okay, and
Just confirming everyone can see the screen.
Yep.
can everyone see the screen? Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, now let's just hope it works. Okay. So basically this is it. What, an Indigenous protected area and what it means for council. And we're trying to just make it as clear and concise as we possibly can. And because this is quite an in-depth process, but we just wanted to get across to you guys what your role would be and what our expectations would be of that role. So we just flip through. Everything's going to lag a little bit, I'm afraid. Of course. All right, so, okay, what is an IPA? Okay, well, the definition and purpose. IPA areas are voluntary agreements, underlying voluntary agreements there for managing land and sea to conserve biodiversity and cultural heritage. It's the integration of knowledge. IPAs combine Indigenous ecological knowledge with modern science to enable sustainable land management. Conservation and cultural benefits. They support habitat restoration, species protection, cultural site preservation, and intergenerational knowledge transfer, as well as a vast array of environmental positives. IPAs collaborative governance. IPAs foster partnerships between Indigenous communities and councils for shared stewardship and sustainability. So that's really just what and why sort of thing. Right, benefits of IPA partnerships for council. This goes into the why a little bit. Again, it's those environmental benefits, the biodiversity and improve ecosystem health through habitat protection and fire management practices. The cultural preservation, safeguarding sacred sites and promoting cultural heritage strengthens our community identity, and it also facilitates the intergenerational transfer of knowledge. The economic opportunities. Well, IPAs will create jobs and training through a range of programs, cultural tourism, land management services. And this will be directly then going back into our local economies, into our local communities. We'll be engaging with local organisations and experts. Governance and partnerships. Well, structured management plans enable collaborative decision-making and enhance regional reputation through leadership and sustainability. So basically, you guys are going to get to look good, and we will too, because we'll all be working together and achieving some amazing things. Okay. YAC's role and the partnership framework. Okay. That's right there, isn't it? Oh, I beg your pardon. How do we go back? Technical difficulties. Here we go. Why partner with YAC? Cultural authority and relationships. Well, we have a very strong cultural authority, and we maintain close ties with the Gumbaynggirr community and local stakeholders. As many of you will be aware, we've spent the last couple of years really developing those relationships, and we look forward to working with everyone into the future. Our expertise in cultural burning, well, YAC applies cultural burning practices aligned with RFS, National Parks and Wildlife Services, also fire and rescue. We try to work to their standards, but we have our own burning plans.
We do have our own cultural burning code of practice, as well as our own strategic planning method for cultural burnings and how we approach it, including before and after research documentation.
Yes. And one point on those is it can sometimes take up to a year for your governmental agencies to go through all of the studies and impact studies that need to be done to do any sort of a burn. Through the cultural burn practices, we've actually reduced that down to a matter of days, if not weeks. Governance and adaptive management. Our governance framework supports compliance, adaptive management and ongoing monitoring to enhance land care practices. Basically, we're just trying to let you guys know that we have very good governance frameworks in place in YAC, and they will be of benefit to this partnership. Collaborative conservation and reconciliation. Partnership with YAC fosters community trust, supports conservation goals, and promotes reconciliation and shared responsibility. Okay. Practical steps and next actions. Okay. Council engagement and leadership. Council will endorse the IPA consultation. I think that's what it says. I've actually got something right over the screen. Oh, you can see it up there. And appoint liaison officers to ensure alignment with community priorities and governance. That's going to be handled through our use of a IPA steering committee and also a traditional owners advisory group. We would be asking that you guys would elect someone to be a part of that steering committee, and that would just keep very good transparency between us all as we move through these sorts of processes. Practical coordination actions. Councils coordinate permits, access arrangements, and data sharing to support cultural burning and ecological monitoring. That's pretty self-explanatory. Education and reconciliation support. Councils contribute to signage and visitor education that promote cultural respect and environmental awareness aligned with RAP commitments. And I think you guys are already pretty onto this. Funding and planning collaboration. Councils collaborate with agencies for funding and establish transparent timelines to develop the IPA management plan. This isn't so much about council going for funding. It's more about you guys supporting us, and we can go for the funding under the IPA. So your support would be through an MOU or the like with YAC for this IPA management plan. And I think that may actually be it for that.
So essentially, a couple of things we haven't covered in there. IPAs are not a land grab. They are not about trying to claim lands or keep people off their lands. IPAs are not about preventing people, such as the general public organisations, from accessing those areas. It's just a way that us as traditional owners can access the lands themselves in partnership with key stakeholders, private property owners, government agencies, NGOs, etc., and how we can work, to benefit or work together to benefit the entire community and our own country's health at the same time.
Yeah. And this partnership process is all voluntary. At any given moment, if say you gave us a plot of land that you wanted managed, we did some regen work, everything went well, and then in a couple of years you had other plans for that land, all you have to do is say so, and that makes it null and void. There is no legal sort of responsibility through going into this partnership. It is all voluntary. Yeah, and as Maddie said, yeah, we need to make that very clear. This is not a land grab.
Yeah.
We do not go for native title or anything like that over this. It is purely to allow us as traditional owners to perform these roles on property that you guys manage. Are there any questions?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Brenton. I guess, and just probably for your clarification, we run these workshop sessions, so they're not direct decision-making forums.
No.
But I guess in this process, you've got your next steps. But what do your next steps look like? I guess from a tangible perspective, where to from here? I guess.
I've actually sort of preempted this. Where are we? Which one is it? Oh yeah.
Next one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Come on. Yep.
All right. No, that's the roadmap.
Yeah. So this roadmap, at the moment, we are in our consultation stage for the IPA to get dedication. So we have already been given funding by the federal government to actually do our consultation with traditional owners, key stakeholders who have an interest within the IPA area itself, and that will bring up that map shortly. And we also have to do consultation with government agencies and native title groups and other Indigenous corporations. So this timeline at the moment, we are currently in that sort of 2 to 3 years consultation phase where we go through, we talk with everyone in our community within the IPA area or that has an interest within that IPA area. And then from that, we get together all of our data, such as our threatened ecological communities, invasive species, pest management controls, fire, and we collect that and we use that to develop a plan of management for the IPA. And obviously different areas will have to have some slightly deviations of those plans of management. And then from there, it'll take about that 6 to 12 months again to really fine tune that plan of management. And it goes back to our traditional owners. It goes back to our advisory group. It goes back to the steering committee and it goes back to the community for further feedback from the community as well. And then we send that back across to DQ and federal government who have the last say. And then they look at that plan of management, they look at the consultation that we've done and any current agreements that we may have in place, such as MOUs or Indigenous land use agreements with property owners. And from there, hopefully dedication. And that's when we can really push forward, receive more funding to actually start attacking those goals that we want to achieve. So we might pull up that map.
Yeah. Second.
Yeah.
So I share.
It's still sharing.
Am I sharing?
I'll share your screen.
All right. Yeah, there you go.
PDF. Yep. So currently this is a map of our proposed IPA area. As you can see, it does enclose a lot of the Bellinger Valley LGA. And we do go right out west to Point Lookout itself, not on the top side of Point Lookout, but to the bottom side. So Bellinger Valley, Clang Valley, and following the escarpment ridge line all the way along to the Rainforest Centre in Dorrigo, and then back along into Mount Moonbull, and then down Glenford Ridge, down to the top of Bonneville, down to the ocean, and then down to Deep Creek, following the creek line. And back along the ridge lines there somewhere. Now, this map is not currently set in stone. This does have to keep going back to the steering committee and the advisory group and community members to try and fine tune those exact boundaries. But this is just at the moment a very close, rough idea of that RPA boundary. Unfortunately for us, traditionally we never had hard boundaries, so it's very difficult for us to get an exact line on a boundary to send to federal government for this. So we're working pretty hard on that boundary.
Great. Councillor Fenton, you have a question?
I do when my audio works.
Oh, we can hear it.
Can you hear now? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've probably got several, but the one at the top is when you mentioned, Brenton, that it was self-explanatory, the stuff that councils can provide, like access. I'm assuming that means access to, council managed lands.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned permits. What are some examples of that kind of things that have happened in other IPAs where councils have had, permit or not compliance. What's it called? Permission. Sorry, it's so hot here. I can't even think of words, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, so at the moment we're talking with Crown and we actually need permission from council itself to access a lot of data for the parcels of land that Crown have that council manages. So we need permission from council to have a look at that data and go back to Crown and say, this is the data the council has, these are the Crown land parcels that they are managing, and these are the ones that we may have cultural interest in, both from our traditional songlines or ceremony grounds or plants or animals, whether it be a sacred site for initiation or increased sites. And then moving into the future, it'll still come back to council in partnership with YAC and steering committee for community members to gain permits such as beach driving permits, hunting licenses, etc., etc. So there's still a lot of that going in as well. But at the moment, we just need permission from council to access some data.
I've actually got a document here which sort of just charts out exactly. Oh, hang on.
Not that.
No, not that one. Here we go. Right. So, with the proposed Indigenous protected area, the partnership. Okay, so Urunga and Bello Council. So initially, we need an agreement from you guys. BSC and YAC will enter into a memorandum of understanding confirming your commitment to pursue a partnership, and that's all you guys will be committing to, is pursuing one. Whether or not it actually comes into effect, that's a part of the process. The first thing we'd need from you guys would be to provide us with a list of potential co-managed sites, e.g. your Crown lands, your council managed lands, for consideration within that IPA boundary map that we showed you. And I will be we can send you all through individually the map and a small digital booklet on what an IPA is. So yes, we'd need that from you guys, and that would be then considered by our steering committee and our traditional owners advisory panel. We'd need you to supply all relevant details for the selected sites, just including any environmental and cultural assessments that have been done, existing management plans, and compliance documentation. Compliance with?
So compliance documentation in regards to either who's managing that land, who has access to that land, such as energy services, RFS, so all compliance information around those areas. So even when it comes to national parks, we have to abide by their compliance rules and regulations as well, and understand their compliance measures that are happening on those parcels of land.
And Bello Shire Council, we would ask that you nominate a representative with relevant expertise to join the IPA steering committee. By relevant expertise, I don't mean anyone in particular. It's just it'd be good to have someone who has sort of some skin in the game, so to speak. And they will be part of the IPA steering committee alongside our key stakeholders. And then we have the YAC assessment and selection. So upon receiving all that information, we'll first take that list of proposed lands to our TO's advisory panel for prioritisation as far as cultural values and that sort of thing, because there is sort of a hierarchy on how we should attack these things. And then we would prepare a draft assessment and management plans, which could include, well, it will include a area management plan for each site, cultural and environmental assessments, land and sea management strategies, wildlife surveys, fire management strategies, including cultural burns or future fire mitigation plans. So this is the sort of thing that we want to do for every block, for every piece of land that's offered to us. These would then come back to you guys for you to table in a meeting or however you handle that. And once you've sort of approved on where we're going, we would then send it on to DQ for endorsement. This is all at draft stage, but at this point. And once we got the DQ, subject to their approval, we would secure the funding through our IPA program and other sources to actually perform the management. And that's number 8, the implementation and oversight. So we would deliver the project in line with the agreed goals and KPIs, engaging our experts as needed. And the IPA steering committee will ensure the transparency and ongoing consultation with Bellingen Shire Council throughout the process. So that's why we'd like someone from council to be a part of that steering committee. So it's just all open and you guys have access to anything you need at any given time.
All right, Mr. Mayor, you got a question there?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys, for the presentation. During the presentation, somewhere it was mentioned, along with the land management and the cultural burning, that the other areas, priority areas, were cultural tourism, and education. I just wondered if you could expand a little bit more on what the plans will be for that, because I mean, I've just read an article yesterday about the projected explosion and growth in cultural tourism, and Clark Webb was referenced in that article that I read. Just wondered, is that something because you're dealing with a lot of things, I can see that at this stage. Is there plans in place to develop that at this stage, or is that down the track type thing?
Yeah, thanks. Great questions, Steve. There are definitely plans in place. As you know, I'm in that cultural tourism game myself, and I've been chatting with Dean a lot and Brenton about trying to develop some kind of plan or strategy where we can get young school leavers coming into YAC organisation under a tourism training component and develop that to expand our cultural tourism within the Valley. It's like my personal views on cultural tourism in the Valley, it's quite low, and I would like to see it much higher. And I've been crying out for help for multiple years now to get people involved in cultural tourism. So we're definitely looking at creating opportunities for young school leavers or current community members to come on board and not just learn more about culture, but also understand the ways to project with the tourism and understand how to interact with the broader community, visitation, tourists themselves, and how to get more people coming and visiting this beautiful area, but also doing it in a sustainable way, not just opening the floodgates, but keeping it restricted so we've got time and place for so many people, and as well as monitoring our individual areas and allowing country to heal and country to rest at the same time.
And that's where the educational component would come in as well, because as part of what we do, we're trying to share how to look after country, how to look after yourself while you're on there. So that's going to sort of play into the whole environmental impact as well. Yeah, and we're also in talks with Nat Parks about when the Dorrigo Escarpment is all finished, the Rainforest Centre there, and because that's going to be a huge opportunity for tourism. And in my speaking with them, I've tried to say, well, we need to drag it down the mountain. It needs to come from up there all the way down to Urunga. So what that looks like going into the future, I couldn't tell you as yet. But watch this space. I mean, there is just so much room for that around here and such a want. It'd just be a boon. Sorry for the town.
And obviously it dovetails perfectly with a lot of the work that council has been doing around ecotourism and sustainable tourism. So it'd be great to make sure that we're working closely in that path as well.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I think council's been doing a wonderful job, especially with the Visit Bellingen. And currently coming to the summertime, you know before you go and go before you go. Like, that's one of the key places we really want to look after up there in Glencoe and Promised Lands, because it is quite a significant place and always has been. So how do we monitor that at the same time, whilst allowing people to visit the area and giving them that education that required to look after the place?
Yeah. And again, if we can create opportunities and career paths for young people, particularly, young Gumbaynggirr people in that space, would be fantastic.
But that's it. Like, I've just finished running a 6-week TAFE course for Caring for Country, and I had 12 young Gumbaynggirr people, both men and women, coming along into the course as a bit of a stepping stone and a pathway to introduce them to community organisations such as Urunga Aboriginal Corporation and Nimranagay Wadja Aboriginal Corporation, and local land services, land care groups as well. So come in and get that taste for Caring for Country and know that there's positions out there available. They can be out there on country looking after it, and also benefiting themselves mentally. Now I'm about to run another 6-week course, doing a certificate 3 up in Grafton next year.
Awesome.
16 weeks for that one, sorry. And then we're looking at another one in Coffs Harbour next year as well for the Cert 3 and cultural land management.
Very good.
And we also see sorry, Steve. We also see a possibility that they're not all going to be Gumbaynggirr kids. We need the non-Indigenous kids around here to be involved in this stuff as well. And there is going to be places and even jobs that they can perform. They may not be able to perform some of the cultural aspects. They can learn about it. They can be a part of it. So yeah, it's not about just jobs for mob.
Yeah, it's opportunities for everyone. Like, if we can continue to develop the tourism game in the valley, it's going to benefit the entire community. If we can also develop the conservation game here in the valley as well, and that in turn develops education and community benefits overall. Like, it's not just economic opportunities for Aboriginal people, it's economic opportunities for the broader community.
Right. Councillor O'Keefe, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So Brenton Mathis, really great initiative. Congratulations on kicking it off, getting it to this stage. I'm interested in, in practice, 3-4 years' time, when you've got through stage 2 successfully and it's been dedicated, what would be the work between your rangers and, let's take, for example, national parks. So they've got teams of people who look after the land that they're responsible for. I guess point 1, you'd have a similar agreement with them. And then what do you imagine would be the work relationship between your rangers and the staff of national parks? How do you imagine that will all work?
Well, we'd like it to be a nice, healthy, happy relationship. Obviously, along the way, there's going to be some small minor disputes at some point in time where not everyone agrees on something. That's just a general relationship overall. Yeah. We've already got a really good relationship with national parks. I'm still with national parks myself, and I run the cultural tourism through national parks. And so ideally, we would look at the areas that national parks can manage and the areas that they're sort of struggling to manage. National parks are pretty understaffed as it is, and they are struggling to manage a lot of the areas across the North Coast. And that's where our ranger team can step up and start helping to manage some of those areas under the IPA. So we can look at all the areas that come under the IPA that are within national parks, and we can just say, hey, look, we can manage these ones under agreement with you. So we'll have that memorandum of understanding, and then their staff can continue to actually put more effort into other areas of national parks as well. So again, it's providing opportunity for everyone to mutually benefit all of the country. And
good on you.
When it comes back down to fire management, a similar thing. We can get together and have more people on the ground doing fire management practices to prevent catastrophic scenarios in the future, like what we're seeing currently down south.
And we are actually in talks with RFS about actually establishing a proper full partnership with them, which would involve working together, cross-training, that sort of thing. And but once again, that is in the process at this point.
So just another question, Todd, leading from that. So when you put up the submission to be dedicated, let's call that stage 2, do you put up like as a one-time proposal the number of ranges, or do you have an opportunity in 5, 10 to keep adding to the ranges when you get more and more successful?
So in the proposal that we put forward to DQ, we can say this is stage 1 of the IPA dedication that we're looking at. And then in, let's say, 5 years' time, this is where we'd like stage 2 to be at with X amount of ranges, but potentially an IPA extension where we could probably go up into the plateau as well, and including more areas. Because as it moves forward, we're hoping to have more property owners as well reach out and say, hey, we would like to join in on the IPA and have you come and look at our properties, do cultural assessments and help manage at the same time. So it's not just a one set and done opportunity, it is room for expansion and improvement always.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent.
And that's where going into a partnership with you guys would actually help in the long run, because it's going to, if we were dedicated on those particular properties, then that would warrant applying for more ranges. That would warrant putting in more management plans and getting more employment. So the more partnerships we can build, the more that we can bring to the valley.
Fantastic. So councillors, do we have any more questions for Brenton and Matthew? Councillor O'Keefe.
Yeah, sorry, one other for clarity for when, so 3 staff, Brenton and Matt, will no doubt consider what you're proposing and they'll review it. With one of the points about a representative on the consultative committee or body, just in terms of the expertise you referred to, do you imagine that would be a councillor, or is it a staff member who has expertise in land management and the like?
That's up to you.
Okay.
That is truly up to council. That is your decision to make. If you wanted to have someone who had an environmental interest in that position, well and good. If you wanted a councillor, well and good.
If you wanted someone who had, high community interests and involvement, essentially someone, who is either sitting on a board somewhere and has some sort of governance experience at the same time, as well as someone that knows what's going on in the community and knows the area as well.
I'd probably suggest that once we better understand, I guess, the structure and format of that committee, that would better, I guess, step out who would be most appropriate, as a council representative. But I guess, as I sort of noted earlier, in this not being a decision-making forum, decisions still move up through to the council for things to move forward. So I guess, in the short term, looking at the roadmap, Urunga Aboriginal Corporation will continue to work with staff representatives in council. I know they've been working closely with Sam, they work closely with Max, to look at, that kind of program, and as it formalises, then those next steps will move through to a council meeting. So, great.
Yeah, it may even end up that you have 2 representatives from the council from 2 vast different areas that are on the steering committee as well. Like, we'll also be asking someone from National Parks to be on there, someone from Crown Lands, RFS, State Forest.
Private landowners, because we've been approached by quite a few now who are interested in coming on under the project. So we'd have a representative there. The more the better. We need to have full transparency and clarity over this, because it's too easy to be misinterpreted.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, sorry guys, I might have missed this before if you said it, and apologies if I did. Just in regards to the time frame, what is your time frame like? I think there was a certain amount of time you were given for the initial funding, seed funding, and then is there like a deadline you have to meet to then present, the opportunity to the government to fund you further?
Yeah, I think at the moment we've got about another 3.5 years left before we try 3 years. 3 years before we can try and, before dedication, essentially.
Well, before we have to dedicate, we can actually dedicate earlier. We can get this ball rolling whenever it happens, yes. But by 4 years, that's our deadline to go through this entire consultation process.
Yeah, look, it's quite an extended period of consultation. Yeah.
And we have to talk with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Great.
If I may,
Yeah, sure.
Todd, I suppose you might be the best guy to send it to, but tomorrow, if I was to send you an email with our map, our information, a little e-booklet on the IPA, would you be able to disseminate that out to everybody?
Yeah, definitely, Brenton. If you want to forward anything through to myself,
Yeah.
You're welcome to do so.
Right.
Also, you can send things directly to the council email address, and they will also be
okay.
appropriately dispersed. But either way, you probably have both contact details, so feel free, and we can keep things moving.
Thank you.
Before we
Right.
finish up, again, I just want to reiterate that, again, the IPA is not about taking land away from people. We're not in the land claim game at all. We're not doing any land claims. If people want to gift us land, sure, we'll be able to use it for cultural camps and other activities. But I know a few of the community members have reached out, and I'm not sure if this has reached councillors or not, but I know the fishing club down at Urunga has been having some issues at Winona not being let in, and there's a bit of misinformation going around to say that it's Urunga doing it, when in fact it's not Urunga. And the same with the fishing club up at Milestone as well, with the land claim there. I believe that's the surf club, sorry. That's actually Coffs Harbour Local Aboriginal Lands Council that's done a land claim there, not Urunga. We're not a land claim game at all. We just want to work together with the broader community to benefit everyone.
And we just see this as an incredible opportunity to just really get some stuff done, you know, and really get some long-term management plans in place for everybody. You know, it covers everyone from Crown to you guys to Nat Parks to landholders, landowners. So I just see it as a win. Yeah.
Yep. Wonderful. All right, great. So if there's no more questions, I'll probably like to just extend another thank you to you both for your time tonight. We look forward to receiving more information as this progresses, and happy to keep councillors across the updates as it moves forward. But yeah, unless you have any other closing words, gents, happy to wrap it up.
If people want to learn a bit more and talk a little bit more about it, you know, we are here in town. We're always around somewhere, so reach out, stop in for a coffee. Happy to chat anytime.
Yeah, we're right here next door to Black Bear, and if the door's locked, well, we can see you though, so just wave. We'll come and open the door.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Thank